Ferguson versus Strachan. If you take it that, the conclusion is it's like he's got a machine gun and I've got a water pistol. You know, everybody says it's the same. No, it's not the same. Hi, I'm Gordon Strachan and this is Midnite, Built Different Tactics. Hi, I'm going to take you through a few games that define my career. Quite simple really. There's Real Madrid. Got to tell you that the last time Real Madrid got beaten in a European final was this game, Aberdeen versus Real Madrid. The game itself was played in Gothenburg. The rain was unbelievable. Matter of fact, the rain was so bad that I cut my own hair before the game. My hair was getting in my way. Probably need a barber to go and visit them now as the players. I just took a pair of scissors, snipped my hair and continued playing that way. And we played, we never changed, literally we never changed our system. A couple of reasons. It wasn't done in the days, you didn't have a big enough squad. You couldn't get as many players on the pitch. You probably had a squad of 16 and we kind of stuck to the same way playing. Quite simple really. In the modern game of the day, how do you not get outnumbered in the middle of the field and how do you still make a threat to the other team playing? Most people think we played that way, a 4-4-2, that's a basic 4-4-2 where they go up like that. But we're a wee bit different in Aberdeen. They most of the times played 3 in midfield. This one went back here and did that. So no matter who we're playing, we always played this way. We always outnumbered people. I played in there. Peter Weir, outstanding winger, played further out there. This one dropped back in here at times, especially when we're defending, but when we're attacking, we try to think to go in behind with a good variation of play. We had Mark McGee up here, Eric Black, Neil Cooper, Neil Simpson, Neil Cooper, Peter Weir, John McMaster and Dougie Rugby, McLeish and Miller and Leighton. Normally out here was a guy called Stuart Kennedy who basically made me a footballer. Because what I used to do, I was never good enough to just stand out there and play as a winger and take people on. I played in there to go out there. I played in there to go through there or go back there. And the width come from this fullback coming out of here. As you can see in the middle of the park, we've got people in there. So we're never really outnumbered in there. If you took it as a static 4-4-2, then you might get outnumbered. And it's something I took with me through my whole coaching career. No matter where I went, I always had a there and there, so we're never outnumbered in midfield. Same thing again, you only need one to be out wide. So if I was in there, this man went out there. Different out there, Peter Weir kind of stood there and the fullback who was there just played in there. So no matter where it went and the build-up, if I was out there, the fullback was out there, we had enough people. If you look now, when the build-up now in the games like Man City is always 3 around here, 2 there, but Man City play that way. We were just a wee bit off that. So that was us, I played in there, back 4, but width coming from there. We only needed one to play wide, but we definitely needed at least 4 players in the middle of the park to make sure we were outnumbered. One always threatened to go in behind, and the other one played there. So you've got the 4 in the middle of the park. It made you solid in there. Building up, you're closer together. When the ball breaks down, you're definitely closer together to get a tackle in. If you did that, in the modern game, you never get that now. There, and there, because if it breaks down in there, you're lacking bodies in there. We started this, playing a 10, and I started playing in there, basically because I wasn't a good enough winger to stand out there and do what Peter Weir did. So I played in there, and we got our width for there. Dressing room mindset was, I think we're a bit naive, to be honest with you. And it's not an arrogance. I think what happened, if you beat Bayern Munich in the quarter-final, then you think, right, we can take anybody on now. So we played the semi-final, we won that, I think 5-0 on aggregate or 5-1. And we come to this and we're still doing well in the league. And we knew they had good players, but we also knew this was a Real Madrid strip that it had on. But was it as good as the Real Madrid teams that have been previous? That's the difference. You don't play against the strip, as Alex said. Alex got into her mind, you don't play against the strip, you play against the players. And that's what we did, we played against the players. And so that Uli Stilica, German international, Johnny Methog, played in there, they were good midfield players. So they were a good side. But we did our job being close together, threatened them in, we had a great variation of play. at Aberdeen. We could go in behind, Mark McGee could run them, Eric Black could come short, then vice versa, both could do the same. We could go down the wings, we could play as a group here. And again, even way back then, set plays were huge. Our first goal comes from a corner kick, planned, and we score from that. Matter of fact, our goal against Bayern Munich that got us through was a set play as well. And then because of the variation of play, we had this wonderful winger out here. Peter Weir beating people, goes to Mark McGee here. Mark McGee comes over here. John Hewitt's on at this point. I'm about here. Peter beats a few people coming in there. Back to what I said earlier on, that if you want to beat good teams, you have to have people who can eliminate, especially in the modern day. But then, same thing, they would go and sit back. But Peter Weir beat two players there, went to Mark McGee, beats a man there. John Hewitt goes in. Thank goodness for that, because the next port of call was me, and I would have missed it. So even then, I knew the importance of set plays and the ability to beat people. And that wins you games of football. I think they had in their team Rooney, Ronaldo, Saha, Giggs, Scholes and Carrick. How frightening does that sound? And what we did is we set out in the first half. And the funny thing about it is Ferguson versus Strachan, you know. So, but the thing about it is, if you take it that, the conclusion is it's like he's got a machine gun and I've got a water pistol. You know, everybody says it's the same. No, it's not the same. My players are not the same as you, so you've got to find a way of playing against them. And again, it's a bit like when we play, we have the midfield player coming in there, Celtic, we had two up there with one coming back. Similar to Aberdeen thing, but we found it in the first half we were getting outnumbered back here, no matter what we did. So we changed it to bring another man up there. We played one up there and one in there. So we did that. That's the way we played. It was two there and one there. And we tried and just kind of fill spaces in there. I think we took Zaraski off, and then again we stuck at it. But the real problems came when we scored, because after that, when we scored, literally Alec was trying to get every decent player that Man United has ever had on that pitch to beat Celtic. Maybe to beat me actually, but to beat Celtic. And Nakamura scored the goal. Now the problem after that is, I'd love to see we had a great plan after that. I'd love to think we had a great plan after that. I'd love to tell you what I did. But basically, that was it for the last 15 minutes. And if somebody will say to you after the game, you got your tactics spot on. Did I? Do you think I planned to go back here for 20 minutes and have the best players in the world playing around about me and have my goalie making saves? I didn't plan it that way. That's what happened because of the pressure put on these great players. And what happens, I can show you tactics, but at that point, just sheer determination and grit held us in there. I'd love to say I'd done something brilliant. No. They guys in there, because they had a fitness level, a determination level, stuck into it. I don't think we ever got in their half in the last 15 minutes, but that's what happened. I would love to tell you something fantastic happened, but no. Goalkeeper was brilliant, back four were great, they defended their life, and when they went to the striker, we hoped he would get some fouls for us and take the ball up the pitch. But it was when you look at what they finished with Man United and how we beat them. But again, it goes back again to, yeah, we defended well, we attacked quite well in the first half. Set plays again, Nakamura, one of the best finishes you'll ever see. He did it actually at Old Trafford in the game previous. And I think Sir Alex was on to the goalie and he was criticising with the game, so how many times that guy got to beat you for 35 yards. So, bit of organisation, bit of fitness, bit of determination, and a bit of magic from Shinsuke Nakamura wins the game. After the game, this is where I kind of live in the moment, and I've said that to numerous occasions, that I don't plan ahead. I live for the day, I live for that moment, I live to train that day, I live to play that day. And after the game, it was only about 15 minutes after when I was getting interviewed when somebody said, "You've qualified." I didn't have a clue. I was so focused on this, and probably my brain had shut down by thinking, how do we stop Man United? I kind of went, wow, thank goodness that's over. And then somebody say, by the way, you're qualified for the last 16. What a bonus that was. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on there, but we had to change it. as I say, at half-time, we went more from, with the one tucking in, and the wide man tucking in, and two up front, to 4-5-1. Well, we played AC Milan after we played Man United, and I think, you might correct me, that we drew 0-0, 0-0 to beat us in extra time. Not injury time, but extra time. And we had a chance of a penalty when Nakamura was in here, but this area, just in 90 minutes, he got brought down. Today with VAR, we'd have got the penalty, we'd have been through, we would have changed history, AC Milan don't win the Champions League. That's why I'm in big favour of VAR. Listen, this is them, Kaka, there, Pirlo, the midfield of Ambrosini, what was it? Ambrosini, Gattuso, he was out here somewhere, Inzaghi, Kaka, Seedorf, Gattuso's over there, Pirlo there, Ambrosini there. That's some team. That's some team, right. So, how do we deal with this? And this is the only time I've done it in my career. We played kind of this, the 10 again, rather than two strikers. And Scott Brown was to go on Pirlo, and that was his job. It was a narrow midfield, play like that. There you go, a 10 in there. Scott Brown, wherever Pirlo went, get him. He says, that's your only job. Brilliant. So Pirlo has an average at that time about 130 to 140 touches a game. And they could be, you've seen the ball where he plays it in there and he hits it round the corner for a striker. If you've got a back four going up there, he's better on that side when he does it actually. And he would play the ball and the striker would run round there, and Inzaghi or Kaka making a run. So basically we said, wherever he is, that's Kaka, Inzaghi. Some great names here. I'm starting to get worried now about this result. You should we beat them? So after that, Kaka got fed up with him. Literally got fed up with him. And at this point down there, he's tackled on again, and Kaka actually stood on him. In these days, he'd been off. But Bruno just looked at him and went, let's get on with it. And everywhere he went, he followed him. And I did say to him, you know, wherever he plays, nobody really tackles him. No, I wasn't meaning a bad tackle. When I play, you got under people where you slide under them and try and scoop the ball away from him. Instead of standing up, you may as well go down and scoop it. So he did all that. So he ended up with 60 to 70 touches. So that's technically taking half of them away. So wherever the ball goes after that, I know they're going to good players, but they're not as good as him. So that was most of our tactics. And then when we get the ball back, we play. And we play because we're closer together, we start to play. Not get as much of the ball as them, but we play. And we were, and with patience that night was fantastic. Even in the last couple of minutes of the game, we're still thinking, right, we can still get something for this game. And we persevere, and we got that result. It was a phenomenal result.
So do you think having Scott Brown man-mark Pirlo was the main factor of that win?
Yeah, that's his job. But when we get it back, we've got to be brave on the ball and try and play and try and threaten them to get him behind. We couldn't get him behind because they were too good. So we had to try and build up. And when we build up a wee bit slower, we could get bodies in the box. But our build-up was slow for the winning goal, actually. It could have easily been, we'll throw it in. The thing we didn't want to do was just keep throwing it in the box because we didn't. Their two centre-halves were fantastic. They really were. So we tried to get in another way, a wee bit of variation. If it's a perfect cross, yeah, put it in. But if they can see the ball and they've got to head it that way, then we don't put it in. Because there's a gap between there and there now you can play. If the ball's out here and we've got to cross it, we'll have two in here. We'll have a third one coming around there. And if they're there, we cannot cross it because they're coming to meet the ball. If it goes in behind, the goalkeeper will get it. So at that position, which happened in the goal, if there's a gap between penalty spot and there, we try and play balls into feet there. If, modern day football, you're there, the Beckham crossing area, then put the ball in. But do not put it in when there's a couple of things. If you do it like that and they head it away, it's gone back there and they can counter-attack for there. So that's why you don't put it in there. You pass it in there. So if they do win the ball back, they have to work their way to there. So cross when we can. If we can't, we'll play into feet and play from there. Right, you just have to take your best players first, don't you? They'll probably play three at the back. Depends who they're playing against, but can they change it right away? But there you go. He has to play. McTominay. McGinn plays out there. One there. You got that. And I think they'll play. Do that, and one up front. And you've got that, 3 in midfield, you've got another one out there. Your width would come from there, your width would come from there. Depends how brave you want to be. Do you play a wide man out there, you know, as a winger against Haiti? But you wouldn't do it against the other sides. You probably play it. Robertson can go out there, he doesn't mind playing out there. Tierney can play there. You've got the centre, you can pick any centre halves you want. And then that is a problem area for me. Who do you play out there? You can play Christie there. You know, but he's got to play. I don't care who's up there because they kind of do the same job anyway. And you pick one for there. John McGinn, so you've got goals with John McGinn. Christie could probably play there instead of being there. So you've got goals, goals, goals. Ferguson sitting there. You get your width for there, and that's it. That would be my setup, they're comfortable. And the thing is, if you're playing against one striker back there, he can take off in here, Tierney. When he gets the ball, he drives in here and plays 2 against 1 out there. He's not like a left centre back sitting there. He can drive out of there. He can also, if the ball's building up, he can go and play in there. So it helps you in there. Instead of having 3 at the back against 1, you go in there and find a spot. And he's clever enough, wherever the gap is, to find that spot. And then, and this, I've seen him doing this, when he plays the ball to Robertson, if there's nobody there, he will take off and play there again. It's quite simple. It breaks down, you got that, you can go back into a back 4 and you'll be fine. When you're in the, I call this the David Beckham area. This is where you become a billionaire. And if you can cross the ball, if that's here, there, if you can cross the ball from there, if you can get your head up there, or vice versa there, if I put a box in there, I used to do a lot of training with just that way cross it, because most people think you have to get the byline. You don't really, because I'll go back in there. If you can put a cross in there, David Beckham used to do that, in behind with centre halves going there, we must take that opportunity. Same on the other side, we must take that opportunity because we'll have McGinn getting in there for that side, or McTominay getting in there. So if it's coming from that side, you've got they 2 going in there, McGinn going in there, it doesn't matter. They 3 going in there will be a threat to anybody, and vice versa on the other side. If you want to put the ball in for that side, if John turns on his left foot, striker, McTominay, Christie. Don't worry about defending. There's not going to do much of that. That was Midnite, built different tactics. Gordon Strachan.